Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It is another Underwater Wednesday episode. And this one, we're going to take you in the pool. We're not going to show you any baits, and we're not going to show you the action. In fact, we're going to show you a lot of baits that have no action at all because we have submerged and made our own little brush pile down in the pool that we're going to get baits stuck on purpose. And we're going to show you how to retrieve your baits when you get snagged underwater. Everybody knows about a plug knocker and how to work a plug knocker, but we're going to show you some techniques to try and get unsnagged without disturbing the cover when we come back. Stick around, guys. You're going to want to see this. You're also going to want to see how we messed up our pool building our underwater habitat here. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher. Thanks for tuning in to another Underwater Wednesday. We appreciate that. Guys, if you like this kind of content, hit that subscribe button, the thumbs up button, the like button, send your comments. This is actually a video that Matt Stefan did years and years ago. He was on the water, he did it. And when I saw that, I really liked the techniques that he was showing, but the thing that he wasn't able to show is what was going on underneath the water. And I said, you know, someday I'm going to do an Underwater Wednesday episode where we actually show those techniques, but we show you what you're doing up on top of the water. We're showing you what's happening underwater when you're actually looking at that snag. So you get snagged and you got to get that bait off. We don't want to end up losing those lures and things like that. So there's really 4 different ways to get your bait unsnagged. And in each of these 4 ways, what we're going to try to do first is be able to get that bait or that lure unsnagged without going right in on top of it where we're disturbing the habitat. Guys, Matt said this, I've said this over and over on my channel. If you're not getting snagged, you're really not fishing in the right places. So from a standpoint of when you've got logs, when you've got cover, things like that, and you're throwing your baits and you're intentionally trying to avoid those areas because you don't want to lose a lure, well, the reality is you're avoiding a lot of fish because that's where they stay. And you're not going to get bit if you don't get close enough to those snags. So being afraid to throw in that stuff, you're not going to get snagged, but you're also not going to get near as many bites. So today, we're getting in the pool, we're going to throw right into that stuff, and we're going to show you some techniques about how to get unsnagged when you do get hung up in that stuff. So let's get here. Let's show you underwater what's happening when the bait's getting snagged and what's happening when I show you how to get unsnagged as well. All right, so my first bait that I'm going to throw is just a little chatterbait. We'll see, chatterbaits aren't great for throwing around wood and things like that. So let's see if I can intentionally get snagged. That bait went right over the way I wanted to, and I did not get snagged. All right. I just got myself snagged on my stump down there. And so I'm stuck now. And so what I don't want to do in this situation is pull real hard, because the last thing that I want to do is actually drive that hook into the wood even further. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take my line, I'm going to pull some line out, I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure so that I've got just a slight little bend in the tip of the rod tip, and then I'm just going to snap it. And look at that! Look at what happened. That recoil, when the line went back, it popped that bait out of the log and came back. So you can see when I'm flicking the line, it's actually sending the bait backwards, and that's what's popping the bait off. The next bait that I'm going to throw is a little jig, and I've cut the weed guard down because I really do want to get snagged. You can see our stump in there. So first thing I'm going to do is try and get snagged. didn't take long. So I'm gonna just right now, just because I want to try, I'm gonna try my method here that I did before. I'm gonna snap it, and it came right off, and I was able to get it done. Now we'll see if I can't get it snagged again. I'm snagged on my bucket. Okay. Or I'm not sure. So now let's see if we can't get this done. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm the same thing. I'm gonna lock my, and this time I'm actually gonna send my reel down the line. I'm gonna slingshot it down the line to the point where I get it off using the rod tip to get, the rod tip literally went up to the bait and pushed the bait away, and that's what got it free. So the slingshot method is the second method. So you can see when my rod tip gets down to the bait, it's the rod tip that's actually pushing my bait away from what it's snagged on, freeing it, and then I'm able to lift it out with the line and have it clear the obstruction. So guys, with this third technique, I'm gonna continue to use the jig just because I feel like that's the easiest bait that I can get snagged on. Isn't it interesting that when you're trying to get snagged, you can't? And if this was a fishing day, I'd be getting snagged every time I made a cast. Okay, so it's snagged. I could try the other technique of flicking the line and things like that, but this one, I'm gonna stay this far away because I don't want to spook the fish that could be in that pile. And I'm just gonna use my trolling motor and troll around in a half circle and try and come at the snag from a different angle, and the opposite angle. So I'm gonna keep my rod tip tight, but not too tight to drive the hook. And it could be that this comes out at any point, but if it's still tight, as I get around, boom, as soon as I got to this side, it came free because I was pulling it away from where it was snagged. Okay, so on this last bait, I'm gonna throw just a lipless crankbait, try and get it snagged on our piece of wood. And it ain't easy. Again, I tell you what, guys, like I said before, if I was fishing, I'd be getting snagged every cast.
Right.
This time that I'm trying to get snagged, I just can't seem to.
Oh.
There it is.
There we go.
So I'm snagged. And again, remember, this is a crankbait, so I got treble hooks, things like that. I'm gonna go and do all my different techniques to try and flip it, try and go around. I can even do my slingshot, but let's say I can't get it at that point. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take my plug knocker and I'm gonna just attach it to my line. I'm gonna put it on my line. I'm gonna send it down. The weight of that knocker, I'm gonna just keep sending it down until it gets oh, look at that, I think there it is. And then now I can bring it up and it comes up with my plug knocker. Hey, my camera person actually joined us for the close here. Guys, those are 4 techniques for getting your bait unsnagged. And Megan, like I said earlier, this is actually a video that Matt Stefan did, and he was in the boat and he did it. But I think being in the pool and being able to show exactly what's happening when that bait gets snagged and what happens when, whether you flick the line off or you go around to the other side, hopefully this underwater footage that we did is going to show that. And it gives you guys some techniques to use so that you aren't just losing baits, and that you have a way of getting that bait unsnagged without going right in there and disturbing the fishing area. Because if you can get it unsnagged, you can still catch those fish that are there, as opposed to having to go in and sticking your rod tip down and all of that kind of stuff. So guys, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. We appreciate you tuning in, and stick around tomorrow for another Mark Fisher Outdoors. Take care, everybody.
Stay channeled.